Welcome to our Shining the Spotlight series, an initiative where we shine our light very brightly on communities, conferences, initiatives that are really working to drive positive, meaningful change in STEM, in leadership. I am so excited to welcome the two founders of the Engineering Leaders community, Johanna Belfrage and Cecilia Borg. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
So great to welcome you both. And before we dive into all of that engineering leaders goodness and the conference Lead and Deliver and what it all entails, I'd love if you could just give our audience a quick little snippet into the both of you and your background.
My name is Johanna Belfrage, and I've been working within tech and product because I think you need to work within both with more than 20 years. And right now, I'm the CTO of a company called Insurello, and I'm also having my own courses within like how to create empower product teams on the side, and also are so happy to do this with Cecilia, like the engineering leadership community. Yeah, and before that, I've been at Avanza for several years, building up the engineering department there, and also done the transformation to more like product-led organizations.
Thank you, Johanna, and happy to be doing this with Johanna. My background is within computer science. I got a master's degree, and I've been working as a developer and engineering manager. I've also been working in product and as a CTO, and the latest past years as interim CTO, where I'm coming in, driving change management, and my background in, as Johanna says, having a background understanding both product side and engineering side, I think is important. And I've been working at many of the organizations in Stockholm that have fast grown lately. So both in corporations like Oracle and big international industries, and then at Spotify, Kry, Epidemic Sound, Acast, King, those kind of scaling problems that you see and trying to scale business and organization. And I've also been the CEO of a company. And I think for Johanna and me, and Johanna is also sitting on boards, being able to speak to engineers and boards and C-suites, I think we're driving change through that background.
I want to start from the very beginning. What inspired you both to actually kickstart Engineering Leaders, the community?
Johanna and me have known each other for maybe 8 years now, and we have seen so many engineering managers and CTOs and directors struggling with their view on their own role. How do you deliver value? What is the value? And they're struggling with just formulating that value that they're giving in their role. It's a huge responsibility of both leading people, managing tech and tech strategy, where tech is not, you just don't go to school and learn everything. So many new things are coming. And leading people in this volatile world where everything is happening and you quickly need to grow or decrease your organization. I think the expectations of this leadership has taken its toll on so many leaders. And I've seen so many people burn out for no reasons and while doing a good job. So that's a bit of background on me, and talking to Johanna about it. And then Johanna, what's your view?
Yeah, no, and I agree. Like, also been working with leaders for a long time, and also both like mentoring them and so on. And it's a quite complex role, and it is a lot more complex today than it was when I started. So I think it's like an important community where you can meet and also both like clarify what is the expectations, but also help each other and like be that peer, and also like seeing that you're not alone within your challenges, because I've also had these programs where I'm meeting engineering leaders, and one of the biggest benefits has been to meet each other and kind of share the challenges. When Cecilia reached out to me about she's been thinking about this, it felt very, very nice to start this community because I think it's well needed. And there's a lot of other communities within different aspects, but not like within the leader leadership engineering space, I think there's a gap that we need to fill.
What you said there around that sense of community and being able to actually speak and discuss about challenges so you know you're not alone, because sometimes it really can feel like a lonely place and you can kind of get in your head thinking that I'm the problem, and then that kind of has a domino effect on every aspect of your work, your life, and everything in between, right? So knowing you have a support system where you can openly speak about challenges within leadership is super, super powerful. And you've helped guide leaders through challenges. I'm sure in life as well, we all have our own challenges, right? How would you say that your experiences combining both of those things has helped influence what you've wanted to build and what you've kind of wanted to enable for the community?
So my initial thoughts on this is that the support that I and Johanna have had of each other and the other support people is crucial to have that sanity check. Because when you're in a C-suite, if you're a CTO and talking to the others, they come from a completely different background. You report into the CEO, and that person might have a sales background or economy background. The other CFO and the others, their organizations are more solving problems with known solutions and known problems of scaling an economy and finance. So dealing with when the CEO asks you with the background of normal industrial productivity metrics that you should measure productivity in some way where they understand and they're trying to get to some sort of control, and they're trying to see productivity measured maybe in lines of code, and then as a CTO driving a thriving innovative organization that should be able to quickly pivot, and that where you should have people, and I'm trying to make people write less code and remove code so we have less tech debt, and that interpretation is something is lost there, and it can feel very lonely. And just talking to others to say, I want to give my CEO a sense of safety and trust in that we're doing the right thing. But how do you measure the right thing? Is the right thing for an efficient engineering leader? So having the support and trying to figure this out, that is what Johanna and me have been doing in our various safe CTO spaces and spaces with other engineering leaders, that makes us want to build this for others, because the alternative and burnout is it's so common. And the thing you mentioned, Ellie, in doubting yourself. Johanna, what's your thoughts on that?
But I agree, and that's why I think it's important to discuss and also to be more clear on where the boundaries of your responsibility is, and also what you can expect from other leaders, and how important it also is to do this together with other parts of the company. For example, yes, in the leadership team, talking to the C-suite, but also like with product and design, and like how you build those forums also for leaders to do this together, because I've seen so often that you're working on your own. And I think like having this community and talking about how important it is, maybe you can bring that home and also like to your company, and how can we build like a stronger leadership foundation together, because we want our teams to be cross-functional, and I think it's so important that the leadership also is cross-functional. But then this community is for engineering leaders, because you also need to have uh, your own role, because often, as Cecilia said, you're working except for example in the leadership team in the C-suite, then you're on your own with your role and your experience and your kind of responsibilities. So then I think this community is helping out to also meet all the others, as Cecilia said, that also have those kind of challenges that you can bounce ideas with and so on, to bring home with you to your company and continue feeling more confident in your role.
So, so important what you're building and creating. And you've just really reinforced that. And we'll dive into the conference, of course. But I just want to touch on burnout because it is such a common thing. So many people are struggling, and so many people are struggling silently. as well. They're not speaking up about it. What would be maybe 1 or 2 tips that the both of you for leaders on how they can maybe check in with themselves every now and again on those feelings?
So when I'm talking about this topic, and I try to do that many times, especially to young leaders, people in early careers, I ask them to do a bit of journaling and reflection on, and even if they don't write bullets or long sentences, just think about it, reflect over how we feel, so that you can see that over a couple of days now, that has become weeks. When coming to work, when going to work, just my body language is more hunched up than it used to be. Or kind of, am I going to work and kind of feeling that kind of when going through those doors, I feel happy? Or do I feel that maybe something will happen during that meeting today? So that you can see the sears and start talking early to your peers and find someone you can talk to about these early warning signs. Because when you've reached a point, it's like a boiling frog. You don't you don't know that the water's boiling. You can feel the heat temperature increasing, but when is it time to jump out? And you need that outside perspective, because we are high performing individuals. We want to perform, and kind of we set aside ourselves to the last priority so often. So find some, reflect over yourself, speak about these early warning signs to someone else that you trust, and see kind of what can you do about the situation.
It's also very important also to set kind of the boundaries for what you can do within your role, because I see so many both thinking that the expectation is that you should do so much yourself, and that's also limiting your organization and the peers and teams around you. So like one thing is because if you also try to like really trust the people you have and put and work more with facilitating and like having clear what they are going to do, then that also gives you space to work more on strategic matters instead of being operational a lot and kind of detail oriented. So that's, I think, is like one way to start reflecting on where am I in this. Am I also like is my organization, if there's a fire or like if there's something happening, a system goes down or something, are my organization dependent on me being there in that moment, or have I built like a security net for that a team that could take care of all those things without me being like operationally involved? And then I think that's one way of helping you to not burn out, because otherwise you both need to work both on the strategic part, the technical part, and also like or the tactical part, and also the like operational part, and that's really yeah, no one can have all that responsibility. And then I really agree with Cecilia with looking at your own well-being, like as simple as like, do I sleep well? Am I exercising? Like, because that's where you need to start. Do I have like the bottom needs covered? And then I can kind of go from that, because it's so easy that you stop exercising when there's a stressful time at work or so on. So kind of yeah, and I'm also doing another leadership course talking about a lot about this, about both like how to set boundaries, but also how to keep your energy. And then you need to kind of see what drains energy from you in your workplace. And can I find ways? How can I, like, is it to take in the middle of the day, take a walk? It could be like instead of having lunch with your colleagues every lunchtime, maybe you need your alone time and just listen to music, or like everybody's different, but find what gives you energy and helps you through the day, because no one is helped if you're burned out, especially not yourself, but not the company or organization either.
I really think it's an art, learning delegation, the art of learning to let go, to trust also. And these principles and factors are crucial in leadership. Thank you so much for sharing those tips. The journey, of course, it led you to launching the Lead and Deliver conference through the engineering leaders community. I'd love to know, what's the story behind this conference?
So I think let's start with the name. because we wanted a name for the conference that was connected to the engineering leader community name, but also putting in that we're actually learning something during this day. And it's more than just coming for inspiration. I would say it's a semi-workshop, and that we have the ambition to. And the name then, Lead and Deliver. That, and I think that is putting the focus on what are we as leaders delivering? What is the business value in the organization? So innovative teams and scaling tech, and how do we define that? And coming back to the question of burnout, what are the expectations of us, and are we proud to express those expectations? So talking about how do we define the boundaries towards others so that we can delegate? How do we speak about the delivery that we have, and how do we measure what is good enough? And all of that is also important for avoiding burnout, or feeling that you have done enough. Because there will always be expectation, especially on this role, to do more. So how do you set up kind of, this is where I can help, how much I can do, the ambition for next quarter, what we achieved the past 6 months, and so on. How do you express that? So the focus of this conference is to help, maybe not fully define it, but to talk about what is out there, what are the expectations, and what is reasonable. And me and Johanna, we started working and being explicit. Let's share our thoughts. And then, do we need to agree with everything? And like, there are no truths in this, there are no facts. But what we can see is that me and Johanna and the people that we've invited for the conference, we are painting a picture. We're creating a mosaic. Every picture that we can paint individually, we're looking at the same picture. We're looking at the same. We can see that this is different from industrial productivity and authoritarian leadership from the past. This is not it. So we might express this in different ways because there are no cookbooks of this, but we're painting the same mosaic. So that's a bit kind of why we wanted to create this whole day, or kind of my initial thoughts.
Yeah, and also having it really like interactive. So we have invited several speakers that will speak about different topics, like from everything from like how to do a tech strategy, like how to work with expectations on the engineering leader role, and actually like how it is to work in that role, and also like how can you change to empower product teams. So that's some of the different topics. But it will be some speeches, but it's not just to come there and listen and then you will lead the conference. Is very interactive, that we will have a lot of like breakout rooms where you meet each other, and as Cecilia said, like very visual. So we will have a mirror board where we share things, so you can also not just talk about it but also visualize different models and build on it with each other. Because when you share that, then you get kind of more structured way, I think, of looking at things, as you can share with others and see it both visually and also discussing. And so like our hope for that day is to both come there having a stronger community, and that you actually met and talked with other engineering leaders, but also learned from each other and hopefully sparked like what you want to learn more about, because you've seen how others succeeded maybe in different areas. Oh, and also what failures people are sharing, so you also can learn from that.
Interaction is the real driving force of this conference. I love that. It's so needed. Again, that power of conversation, sharing stories. I know that this will not be your average conference. We've touched on a few points around why that might be, but what else do you feel makes this different?
So we wanted to create a platform where people could meet and tie networks like Johanna and me have done with several others, and to enable that in Stockholm Tech, and to find people who haven't found that yet. And then painting this mosaic and helping them, saying that it's not about saying that this presenter was wrong or right. It's about learning from someone else's experience, see if anything relates and resonates with you, and doing that while talking to others. So as this first time is lightweight and remote, we know that you can't listen too long for people, and we want to slow down learning a bit here. We want people to reflect. So the talks are 5 to 15 minutes each, and then time for reflection, time to see what other creates on the Miro board, talking to others, and there's always the opportunity to not to pass and say that I need to think a bit more, but to hearing other reflect on what was just said, preparing you for maybe the full group Q&A session. I think that does something to you. You need to engage. You will create this. What resonates, it's not going from right or wrong. It's about painting that picture and internalizing the structure. So this day, and what makes it different is that it's interactive. It's supposed to engage, to internalize something, and to have fun and to connect with others, doing that in a remote setting. And then we'll also meet for drinks in the evening for everyone who's in Stockholm. But kind of doing this lightweight and without sponsors and everything, I think this remote way of we've tried to enable it in a remote way that will be engaging.
It's a really nice touch as well that after the conference online, you have that face to face where it makes connections a little bit warmer as well, right? People who may never have met each other, they could have had some really insightful discussions in these sessions and then meet afterwards for a drink. And it's just a great way to build community, which is so important to you both. Johanna, you said some great topics that we'll be diving into. And I know from looking at the agenda, there are some incredible names on that agenda of who's going to be sharing. I guess, how did you work together to define the topics that the speakers were going to share?
We had like what the day kind of the frame of the day, but then also talking to the people that are gonna speak. What's your like interest within this topic? So like collaborating with them, what they feel that they want to share and work with. And I think all those topics is really it's a good mix of both like technical leadership process. So we just wanted to bring a good mix, but it was actually, I think, from what the speakers wanted to talk about, it was quite easy to find good topics. So yeah, really looking forward to listen to all those speakers.
And we also asked the speakers to make sure that they both talk about something concrete from their experience. So, and then what are the learnings that you have taken from it? Because I think a lot of it can be easy to just refer to models or this is what I've come up that these are my best values and so on. But it always comes from some experience. Something happened. There was this conversation you had where you saw that you could have done something differently from start. You stepped into a meeting that ended up being something completely else, and you learned from that, and then you draw the conclusion, and that has led you and enabled you and made your career successful for some reason. And listening to those experiences on what led you to believe this, and was it repeatedly, was it one time, was it impactful, and then seeing it summarized that these are my top 3. They might change, but they have guided me in this perspective. And then for leadership or building tech strategies, I've had a few that I hunt on to keep in my brains. And we've asked all the speakers to be both concrete and then what are the learnings, and trying to mold it together to something that we can take away.
I love how you've worked really closely with the speakers to shape this, but you're also working very closely with the community and participants. I know you have something called like an open space session on the conference too. Could you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so that's really the opportunity, and it's also good we have it in the afternoon because then people can bring because they can get sparked about something or like heard something they want to discuss more, or maybe they have come to the day and have a challenge that they want to speak more about. So open space is that all participants have the possibility to choose like I want to discuss this topic, and then we put that up on the Miro board, and then people can. So we will have several kind of sessions going on at the same time, and they can choose then okay which topic am I interested in talking about. about. So, like, let's say 5 people tell about their topics that they want to talk about, and they put that up, and then other people joins those conversations. So then you really have the responsibility and have the possibility during the day to actually get from the conference talked about what you really want to talk about, and like share your challenge and also talk to others about it. So that's the really opportunity for everyone to dive in a bit deeper on a topic they are interested in.
This session format, it arose from people coming to conferences and saying that the most interesting conversation they had was during the coffee breaks when they huddle up and they saw the presenter and they wanted to learn more, and someone else also showed up, and then the three of them ended up having a really great conversation for 10 minutes on a really niche subject, but sparked from something. And then they ended up in inverting the full conference scheme into like a full coffee break. Okay, on this topic, everyone is interested. We'll gather for 2 days here and then just put up what we want to talk about. And then when you're finished with that topic or it didn't end up where you believed, you can just walk away to some other topic. So it's so free. And I remember where Johanna and me, within the engineering leader community, we held a lunch webinar, and there will be more of those speaking, and and also just for an hour to meet and discuss something. Kind of, it's so powerful to do it within these exercises and this format. And then people said, for the conference, will there be open space sessions for people who have tried it? You really want that to happen sometime during a conference, because you know that there will be interesting things that you want to talk more to, but to maybe a smaller audience and those who are really interested. So for anyone who haven't tried it, you will be happily surprised. And for everyone else, well, we are going to have it. So
It's a very nice touch, very nice touch. And it's something fresh. I personally haven't heard of this before. So I think it's a really, really great approach. What would be your tips for attendees to get the most out of this experience then?
Come to the day with a curious mind and don't be afraid to kind of dig into discussions and so on, even if you haven't thought it through. So it's not about that you need to have the perfect answer or anything. It's like be curious and join the discussions. And of course, you can also pass if you want to, but like, yeah, try to be a bit brave during the conference, but also if you feel it's absolutely fine, if you feel like energy-wise that you are participating a lot in some parts and other parts you just want to listen. But I think that's what. So of course, anyone like I don't want to scare anyone coming because everything is allowed. But I think that's when you get the most out of the day if you're like curious and ask questions and also join the conversations.
yeah. And don't be scared of coming. I had an old colleague that I invited to the community, and he was maybe 2 years into his engineering manager role, and he was like, "But I'm not experienced. I don't know how this works." And kind of I could feel some kind of imposter syndrome emanating from him, and I was like, "No, no one else either. This role is not defined." And we're going to talk clarity about it, and we will talk to each other to see best practices. And kind of as we speak, as we talk, and as the conversation, conferences, webinars go, you will see the pattern, and you will find people who can talk to the things that come up. And I'm thinking about, for example, some of the speakers like Anders Ivarsson. He's the CTO of Voi, and I was a peer with him working at Kry, the medtech company, health tech, and we also worked at Spotify together. And he, as a speaker, he came there, and we've asked him to tell his approach to tech strategy. And he's so used to sharing with the community and sharing with the community of podcasts and so on, just coming to pick his brain on this together. And he's so keen to know what are the questions that will come from the audience. So don't be afraid of asking them. And that's also why we're having these individual reflections and breakout reflections, because if you haven't asked a question in a full group before, then you can try it in a breakout room. Like, I actually didn't get what he meant for this model or kind of abstract concept that he was talking about. Then others can say, explain, or say that, well, I it was totally above my head or something. So come as you are. and it will be inspiring.
Yeah, and it's a big mix of like both leaders leading other leaders, but also leading teams and like having so yeah, as Cecilia said, there's a big spread and we can all learn from each other. And we'll also have a book lottery throughout the day to even learn more, so that will be fun. So we started today also to reach out in LinkedIn to see if there are any more suggestions of what books we should have in that lottery. So that's also just a way to spark learning.
To that thought, because Johanna has created this post and kind of some of the books that are important to me and Johanna. And I think it says a lot that we in the engineering leader community suggests reading Teresa Torres' Continuous Discovery Habits. It's a product book, but as like creating a T-shaped leadership team, where we actually know of each other's trades is so important. And that is an expectation of the modern leadership that might not have been before. We're not as siloed as we were before. We need to learn about the other disciplines, and that is kind of expected of us as leaders. Not knowing everything from start, but have intense curiosity about your peers and learn about them. And her book, Teresa Torres, it's an excellent lightweight way. Just read it and then you will gain understanding.
Yeah, and it's also both, I think, to learn about the peers, but also you need to, because you're coaching the teams that are like having that cross function. So you need to also know what questions and help your engineers to become like interested in discovery, because they're part of a team where the full team have the responsibility. Not in all places, I know that, but that's what we're aiming for. So then you also need to be able to coach them. And I think it's important, as Cecilia said, that you can't expect engineering leaders to have the full capacity of what a product leader, or like know everything, and otherwise like probably a product leader doesn't know everything about the engineering leader, so that could also be tough if you feel that, but you should know enough to be able to ask the right questions and being curious, and together with your team, like for example when we did the transformation at Avanza, and we needed to learn a lot about how to work with discovery. We as leaders didn't know. It was new for us. This was like 2017, 2018. This book wasn't even done then, or it was not there. So we needed to take in help, but also learn together with our teams.
And to Johanna's point here, I think it's so important. I don't think we touched upon that kind of in this conversation, that as engineering leaders, we often are asked to lead cross-functional teams. It's not only engineering, it's UX, it's design, it's data, it's development, and often product, and working in those experimental ways, hypothesis driven. And I'm very happy that we have VP Engineering from Epidemic Sound, Katja Lutz, with us as speaker to talk about leadership for inclusion, leading diverse teams. How do you do that? How do you lead when people come from different backgrounds and maybe don't understand each other from start? How are you an efficient leader for this kind of team that is not siloed, that is innovative and should understand the business value we're delivering, and be innovative and talk to each other and understand and be curious on each other?
Some great tips there, and a great little sneak peek into another wonderful topic that the event will be hosting. And I'm really pleased that you touched on who this event is for. Is this a space as well for people who want to kickstart that journey and get that inspiration and interact, but don't necessarily have the leadership experience or title?
We've aimed this at people who have experience in leading. So I think if you're aspiring, this is not the conference or the community. But if you've stepped into the role, you need to have felt that feeling of entering a video meeting with like the team that you're leading, cross-functional. Kind of, it's a community for everyone who have felt that. So not for aspirational, but people who are just new in, and people who are experienced in it.
And how can they join? What are the details, dates?
This next conference is the 13th of November, and you can join by either going to searching engineering leaders at LinkedIn. We have an account there, or like engineeringleaders.se. and you can join there. And I think the best way is also to join our newsletter, because then you get, because this is just one conference. We have also had like a workshop, and we're also going to have a meetup the 27th of November to actually meet again in person.
Wonderful stuff. I'm going to put all of the links in the description box as well, so everybody's able to get their tickets. If you're in Stockholm as well, for sure take the opportunity to get that FaceTime after the event. What are you both most excited about for the conference?
I'm most excited for the drinks at the end because everything will have passed. All the thoughts that Johanna and me put into the conference will also be in the participants coming there. So I envision it's such a strong goal picture for me to have a drink with the people, to feel a bit tired but excited after the day, and actually be able to talk about the concepts that we've put together, this mosaic, to the others. Yeah.
Yeah, and for me, yeah, meeting all the participants and listening to the speakers, but also like learning conversations that will happen throughout the day. I really enjoy those, like being in those, and also seeing others learn things and doing this together. Gives me a lot of energy, so I'm looking forward to that. And it sounds nice, the evening to just relax and also meet people in person. But of course, it is a digital event, so you don't need to be in Stockholm. You can be in anywhere in Sweden, so everyone is welcome. And so the full day is for everyone. And then if you have the possibility to meet in Stockholm, you're welcome to do that. But just to emphasize that you can enroll. That's what the good thing I think about doing digital as well, is more accessible for everyone.
Right now, we're trying to make this like a freemium model. When I worked at King, anyone can play Candy Crush, and then like 10% are paying, and that kind of makes the whole thing go around. And it's the same thing here. We're trying to make it free for all, so everyone can participate. And there's a small fee to the conference so that we can get some money for the community tools that we need. But we're trying to look for sponsors and partners for the meetup. So that's the November 27th. We have Decider, the IT consultancy, helping us and putting up a venue and drinks and refreshments for that. And then we're hosting workshops, and we're getting kind of the payment from the companies who wants to support this. So we're offering them workshops and mentorships. So for the companies who have a budget for these things, who want to sponsor a community, there's the perfect opportunity to do that, so that we can put in the hours, so that we can keep this alive and do the meetups and everything. And for next year, if this turns out well, if people found this valuable, we're hoping to gather so many sponsors that we can get a bigger venue, get some keynote speakers that are known, that have thought about it, that are good at conveying their message to others, as well as hearing the community share. So if everything turns out well, we hope to do an in-person conference next fall, kind of in a year. But we'll take one thing at a time, and this lightweight format, I think it's a good initial approach just to test the idea.
Yeah, that is very exciting what is to come. But the countdown, to the 13th of November is well and truly on. For companies, this is a really powerful opportunity for you to kind of walk the talk when it comes to caring about leadership, caring about your employees, a great opportunity to support such an important community that is all about speaking, interaction, and it's only going to benefit the leaders that you have within your company as well. So, really presents a great opportunity to support what you're doing. I am so excited. I'm so happy to see engineering leaders out there. I think what you're both doing is amazing because it's not easy. It takes a lot of work juggling all these different plates, not just community, life, work, and everything in between. But thank you both so much. We can't wait to hear how the conference goes on the 13th of November. And was there anything else you wanted to share with the audience?
Sign up for the newsletter, as Johanna said. There will both be invitations and inspiration, so you won't regret, and we won't spam anyone. So just sign up and you'll see it. And for all CTOs, like, give this to your engineering managers and engineering directors. It's free and it will make a difference.
Yeah. Hope to see you there. And thank you very much, Ellie, for having us.
Thank you for having us. It was a pleasure, Ellie.